Do we want to take a trip north of the border, people, and talk about what's going on in Canada? We have to. I'm sorry if you Americans are not interested in it. You should be, because by this time next week, let me rephrase, by a week and a day from today next week, you might have a Chinese satellite officially in Canada lurking over the northern part of America. The election in Canada is April 28th, next Monday. We have a week to figure out if Canada is going to go the way of the commie, go the way of the Chinese Communist Party, or by itself maybe a couple of weeks, months, or years by going Poilievre. If you haven't seen what the Liberals up in Canada are doing, you're going to think you're going crazy. You're going to think Canada is filled with mentally unhinged, mentally unchallenged people. And you might not be wrong. I'm Canadian. And I just did an interview with Megan Murphy, actually. She's the PPC candidate who has had her Canadian bank account frozen. And we were talking about some of the hate we get for people who have fled, left Canada, however you want to call it. And people say, Viva, you don't know what it's like in Canada. You're too far removed. You're detached. You've been Americanized by American politics. You don't know what's going on the ground here. Sometimes you actually get your clearest view of the lay of the land from an airplane. You don't see the lay of the land and the topography when you're in the valley and can't see over the mountains. You don't see the lay of the land when you're in the thick of the forest. Sometimes in order to really see what the landscape is, you got to be up in a plane flying over it, not flying in it. I think having come out of that insane asylum of a country, that I see more clearly what's going on in Canada, not less clearly. And I would suggest that people trapped behind the maple gulag, the iron rainbow, they see less clearly what's going on in their own country, and they could use a little bit of my external clarity. It's a freaking insane asylum. Whether or not it's something in the water, whether or not it's 6 months of darkness and cold, it's an insane asylum, and the Liberals are the patients who unfortunately seem to be leading the takeover of the institution. This is Karima Rules. I've had her on the channel a few times. I like her documenting. So I trust Karima, and I trust that this is what it is, which it looks like a bunch of Liberals getting ready to vote for Carney, and they are batshit crazy.
Elbows up! 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 Elbows up!
That's Karima Sad right there. Now, there's a wonderful version of this going around where they're playing that song. These are Liberal supporters in line to vote for Carney, saying elbows up, no more Trump in Canada. These are the people who are going to determine the future of Canada, whether or not it goes for another 4 years after the last 10 years of the Liberals, or whether or not it gets a reprieve of the insanity. This is another lineup. This is Dacey Media. Chris Dacey, go follow him. I shared his tweets with everybody yesterday. Watch this one. Mentally ill people. These are patients who have taken over the asylum, who are self-righteous in their pomposity, who think that their verbal violence, whatever, is all justified because they are fighting true evil. Whereas even if I think I'm fighting evil, you gotta wait until you use certain tactics. Watch this.
Hi, my name's Kate. I can tell you why you shouldn't vote for Pierre Poilievre. He's a liar. He's a thief. Are you casting this? Because I want to tell everybody this.
Yeah,
put that on. Go ahead, put that on.
I will.
Yeah.
Don't you worry about it.
That's good because it's the truth.
Okay, sir. Yeah. Pardon me? You think that's a nice, like, man, I'm just walking by filming here. You got your wife giving the finger.
Why are you here? Why are you a conservative? Why? Why are you here then?
I live here.
What?
I live here.
Congratulations. Where do you live?
I grew up in Nepean. I live in Ottawa.
Okay, well, you vote for your candidate.
Okay.
Wherever she is, wherever that guy is.
I'm not with them. I'm filming, and you're giving me the finger and accosting me.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, we can stop there. There is elbows up. It's insanity. But they've taken it from elbows up to fingers up, and I've made a nice little montage here. We got this guy. There's a video of this guy doing it. This one is from Right Blend. I also know Right Blend. They're good. This one's Dacey Media, middle finger. This one is that guy now who's gone super viral. Who may he become the face of the Liberal Party? These are the Liberals. These are the peace-loving, tolerant, all-inclusive Liberals who are vitriolic in their insanity. They're going to vote for the Liberals again. I want to refresh some people's memories because I don't think people really remember? Oh, this was my full montage. Liberal Nazis, literal Nazis, share like the future of Canada depends on it. That's me. That's the guy. Now, for those of you who don't recall, that's Chrystia Freeland posing with a scarf of Nazi origin in support of Ukraine. That's Karina Gould. She was one of the candidates for the leadership race for the Liberal Party, posing with that guy there. I don't remember his name. It doesn't really matter. But a Wafflin, whatever, the Wafflin Nazi SS soldier in Ukraine, when they invited him to Parliament and gave him a standing ovation. These are the literal Nazis of Canada who are seemingly maybe going to get another 4 more years after 10 years of destruction. But it's like people don't remember things. And I want to make sure that they never forget these things. This is Karina Gould. Back in when they invited Humka, was his last name, into Parliament because Zelensky brought him. When Zelensky, who's fallen off the map, right? People who have fallen off the map, Zelensky, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, just poof, like they never existed. Like they weren't front and center for the last 2 years. Zelensky came to Canada to beg for more money from Canadians who are themselves starving, impoverished, inflated out of houses, living on the street, dying of overdoses, being murdered by the government with state-sanctioned killings. He's coming to beg for more money in Canada, and he brings along a Ukrainian folk hero who fought with the Nazis against the Russians in World War II, in a unit that was so violent and so viciously murderous, even the Nazis didn't really like. They invite him to Parliament, give him a 2-minute standing ovation. All of those idiots in Parliament, all 338 of them stand, don't understand a damn thing of history. That's fine. There's an embarrassment to have been an idiot standing up and giving an ovation to a Nazi. There's a bigger problem being the ones who invited him. And then after all of that, Karina Gould, who ran for the leadership of the Liberal Party, who is now asking you to go vote for Mark Carney, that 3-passport-carrying globalist whore, is now saying, go vote for the Liberals, give us another 4 years. Here is her trying to erase history. Because some of you might not know this if you've been around the channel for long enough, you do. She tried to have a motion passed by unanimous approval to strike the words that they said welcoming that Nazi and the ovation. To strike it from the parliamentary record as though it never happened. This is evil. Like, we use the word evil a little flippantly. Evil is not making a mistake. Evil is not being wrong. Evil is refusing to admit it, refusing to apologize for it, and then trying to erase your error so that you can then run on a state of sanctity and purity because you've never done anything wrong, because you literally deleted your own mistake. She tried to pass this motion, never forget, never forgive. Listen to this.
I would like to ask for unanimous consent to adopt the following motion. That notwithstanding any standing order, special order, or usual practice of the House.
Look, by the way, it's a different Liberal Party. It's got Mark Carney in it now. Eh? Look, who do we got here? Sorry, I wanted to show. Who's this? That's Chrystia Freeland. That's Melanie Joly. That's the dipshit who talked about taking all of your firearms away and giving them to Ukraine.
Phase 1 of the gun buyback program is now underway. The program will be open for all businesses in the coming days. As part of that process, the Government of Canada has committed to the Ukrainian government to identify whether some of these guns could be donated to support the fight for democracy in Ukraine.
Yeah, it's a brand new party. I'm going to shut my big mouth. I'm sorry. I want to play this all the way through. I don't want to get this out of here.
I would like to ask for unanimous consent to adopt the following motion. That notwithstanding any standing order, special order, or usual practice of the House, the recognition made by the Speaker of the House of an individual present in the galleries during the joint address to Parliament by His Excellency Volodymyr Zelensky be struck from the appendix of the House of Commons debates of Thursday, September 21st, 2023, and from any House multimedia recording. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
His Excellency Volodymyr Zelensky?
Excellency Volodymyr by His Excellency Volodymyr Zelensky.
His Excellency Volodymyr Zelensky. Because Zelensky brought the Nazi. The Liberals ovated the Nazi, gave him praises. She wants to delete that from the official record and from any multimedia reporting. Can you imagine anything worse? It's very, 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 very tough. Never forgive, never forget. The evidence of the time the Liberal Party invited a Nazi to Parliament, gave him a standing ovation not once but twice, after which Jewish MP Karina Gould asked for unanimous support to strike that standing ovation from the record because it would have embarrassed the Jewish, quote, president of Ukraine, His Excellency Zelensky, who was the one who apparently brought the Nazi to Canadian Parliament. These people are evil. Never forgive, never forget. And if you vote for these people, you are no better. Karina Gould, in her defense, came out and said, as the descendants of Holocaust survivors, survivors. I would never have done. Oh, no. We can't be the Nazis. I mean, sure, we literally pose with Nazi flags. We literally bring the Nazis to the party, but we can't be Nazis because my grandparents survived the Holocaust. Maybe you should have known then who was fighting the Russians during World War II, you historically illiterate jackass. And if you didn't know that, get the hell out of politics because you have no business there. Zelensky sure as hell knew. You think Zelensky doesn't know about the Nazi problem in the Azov battalion? He damn well knew. Probably invited that guy because the Ukrainians wanted to see him there. And then they want to delete it from everywhere as though it never happened. To their credit, the conservatives didn't go quite that far to actually delete history. That's what the liberals do. They want to delete and erase history. Not yet done with Canada, but I hate to go back to the Taylor Lorenz of Canada, but I must. You all remember when Canada was holding their Russian disinformation inquiry in Parliament. This is the absolute state of Canada. And they were holding their Russian disinformation inquiry in Canada, summoning Lauren Chen as a witness to testify on Russian interference in Canadian politics. And the Conservatives, and I gave them flack for it at the time, so it's nothing new to the election, jumped on that bandwagon like a bunch of buffoons as well. Do you remember, like, if you ever appeared on RT, you'd be called a Russian propagandist. If you ever said anything in terms of domestic policy that Putin also said, you became a Russian propagandist. And the so-called Canadian journalists pushing this crap were none other than Rachel Gilmore, to name a few. Rachel Gilmore was one of the so-called expert witnesses who showed up to testify at that Russian disinformation hearing, along with Pekka Kolyomieni, who I rib routinely on Twitter because he's just such a Ukrainian hack propagandist. I mean, he's Finnish, but he may as well be like Zelensky's lover, or at least ghostwriter. These two are like propagandists. They get up there, Rachel Gilmore in particular, and tries to equate the Ottawa trucker protest to the Russian regime, to Russian disinformation campaigns, because allegedly the people who organized the trucker protest then started espousing views that Putin also apparently aligns with. You know, like when you say things like, maybe the conflict in Russia and Ukraine is the result of NATO expansion and nukes being placed on the border of Russia, maybe? Well, that's Putin talk. If you come in and say, I'm not down with this whole trans bullshit going on in Canada, that's Putin talk. That's how Putin sows discord among Canadians.
You might not have realized this, but it was actually just days after the convoy. Actually, you guys probably do know this. Just days after the convoy that Russia invaded Ukraine. So it was really an interesting time to be monitoring all of those Telegram channels, because all of a sudden, the ones that have been posting about the convoy and COVID, groups with tens of thousands of members primed to distrust experts, government, media, and institutions, shifted to posting about Russia's invasion of Ukraine, often claiming that Russia's invasion was actually justified because of reasons the government and the mainstream media won't tell you. This illustrates something that experts have said time and time again. Russia identifies the areas where we're most prone to polarization and pours gasoline on the fire that we already built ourselves. Don't just take my word for it, though. You can take it from Russia.
So if you say anything that Putin agrees with, according to Rachel Gilmore, expert witness at this parliamentary hearing, you are a Russian propagandist. If you go on RT, like I've done, you get called a Russian propagandist. Even if I actually manage to successfully criticize all regimes, including the Putin regime, when they invite me on. So when I saw that Rachel Gilmore was celebrating the fact that she appeared on Al Jazeera, I had to have a little fun with Rachel. This is Rachel Gilmore.
Canadians are furious. I haven't seen this kind of anger towards the US probably ever. People go to the grocery stores and they're checking where the products are from to make sure that they're not buying American. Travel is hugely down to the United States. And normally that's a place that Canadians go to all the time. So it's really, really, really intense. I haven't seen anything like it. Mark Carney.
It's almost like Canadians are the most propagandized people on earth. It's almost like Canadians are brainwashed. It's almost like Canadians don't have independent media in Canada, almost like the only outlets out there are either directly funded by the federal government, the Liberals who promise to double their budget if they get reelected, or are indirectly subsidized through bailouts or government advertising. It's almost like Canadians are the victims of state-funded propaganda. Almost. Yeah, they're not going to the States. It has nothing to do with the value of the Canadian dollar, the fact that Canadians are more impoverished than they've ever been. I'm sure all those Canadians that are not traveling to the US are just gallivanting around Europe. Bullcrap. I'm sure the idea that they go into stores to make sure they're not buying American is an indication of their righteous indignation to the Trump tariffs and not their brainwashing. The second one is even better because right now, it really sounds like Rachel Gilmore is touting some China propaganda line. What's the second one?
Mark Carney has a very decorated career in the banking sector.
Pause. I would like to know what she thinks is decorated. People say things and you know that they don't know a damn thing. What is his decorated career as a global banker? When did being a global banker become something that liberals love? Saying things you have no idea what you're talking about. Thy name is Rachel.
Mark Carney has a very decorated career in the banking sector, in the private sector. He has spent his life in the real world, and he's a political rookie. Pierre Poilievre has been in Parliament for over 20 years, and he's not that old.
That absolute power corrupts. Absolutely.
He's a career politician. This is basically all he's ever done. There are two really different candidates. Mark Carney is a more center candidate than his predecessor, Justin Trudeau, was. Pierre Poilievre, though, was really doing the Trump thing.
Merci beaucoup. Who's ready to axe the tax?
By the way, I'm not playing it again. Mark Carney is more centrist than liberal. Mark Carney is now in his budget planning on outspending Justin Trudeau, who has already bankrupted the next 2 generations of Canadians and their children. Trump, he's really Trumpy. What's his face? Pierre Poilievre. My goodness, it sounds like she's spewing off Chinese propaganda in support of Carney. Pierre Poilievre is a career politician. Mark Carney's lived in the real world. He's got a great record as globalist banker. What's his great record? My understanding is it ain't so great, Rachel. But we're going to flesh this out. For those of you who don't know, Al Jazeera, I read Al Jazeera. I watch Al Jazeera because it's important to hear even what other state-funded propaganda outlets have to say. Al Jazeera, you will get better reporting on certain issues and worse reporting on others. But if you don't know what Al Jazeera is, it is 90% funded by Qatar. My question to Rachel is, was this a paid appearance, Rachel? Because if it was, you are now Qatar funded. I don't think it was. Even if it wasn't a paid gig, I suspect it wasn't. You appeared on Qatari state-funded media to promote pro-Carney, anti-Pierre Poilievre, anti-Trump messaging. So in addition to interference via inorganic support for Carney coming from China and its communist WhatsApp, whatever that thing is, WeChat. You do recall that story from a couple of weeks ago. Even Canadian intelligence saying there was inorganic support for Mark Carney on WeChat. Now we have Rachel Gilmore promoting pro-Carney and anti-Poilievre narratives via Qatar state-funded Al Jazeera. Probably not a coincidence that Qatar is a strategic ally of China. What was the rule for people who appeared on RT, Rachel? What was it you said about the Ottawa protests, Rachel? Congrats! You are now officially a Qatari propagandist doing the bidding of a foreign adversarial government. Your rules, not mine. Now, I happen to personally believe you should not avoid going on outlets to discuss issues, even if they are themselves state-funded propaganda outlets, to the extent that you're not going to feel pressured or coerced to change your beliefs, your messaging, because they happen to be state-funded. If I felt the slightest bit intimidated, pressured, or manipulated by RT in terms of what they wanted to hear from me, I would simply never go on. I've never felt that. I've gone out there and, criticized the Putin regime as well, but I would simply not go out on any platform that I got the impression was trying to get a specific narrative out for me or would intimidate me to say, or even just prompt me. Could you say this? Could you say that? No, thank you. I either want total freedom or I want total freedom of not being associated with you. So I don't believe that people should be judged for this, but they do. And the woman who appeared before Parliament to lambaste Lauren Chen for being a Russian propagandist for promoting Russian narratives is now on Al Jazeera promoting anti-Pierre, anti-American narratives. Qatar-funded China ally Al Jazeera. What's good for the goose is certainly good for the gander.